We are now down to the business end of the season with the FC Vaduz, Super League Championship Group, Europa League knockout rounds, and of course, the Liechtensteiner Cup. We'll start today's roundup with the league. And unfortunately, we started our championship group campaign with young boys who have really become our bogey team. Luck was on our side though as we faced Lausanne. After Bradley Fink's opener, Lausanne pulled level in the second half. It looked like the game was heading for a draw until Jovanovic popped up in stoppage time to secure the 3 points. Another 2-1 home victory followed, before yet another goal fest with St. Gallen. We traded goals early on, Jovanovic rounding off a great team move here. We then worked that right flank again for Congreve to give us the lead from a tight angle. Alas, midfield dynamo Hercules would pull up with an injury before half-time, and that changed the game. Appelkamp equalising for the home side after some 6-yard box pinball. And then playing a clever corner to Von Moss. Great strike, I have to admit. But once again, luck was on our side in stoppage time as Brian Lopez was tripped and Dennis Keigan tucked away the penalty. A 3-3 draw then to add on to the 6-0 and 4-0 defeat from earlier in the season. As has now become habit, we followed up that goal fest. Yep, with a ball draw against Basel, meaning we sit third in the table at the halfway stage. But in the meantime, we had a Europa League date with Reims. We travelled to France for the first leg, and well, what a first goal this was. Brady launching the ball after a Reims attack broke down. Congreve involved in bringing it forward and not giving up, eventually making enough space for himself to shoot and give us the lead. He almost added another before half-time, curling this free kick onto the crossbar. By the end of the night, we would rue that missed chance as Reims pulled a last-gasp equaliser out of the bag. 1-1 and all to play for in the second leg. We needed an early goal in the home leg, and we almost got it as Fabio Fair hit the post. There would be an early goal in this game, but it would come early in the second half. Reims kicked off, but luckily for us, they gave the ball away and it was collected by Cristiano. And then there was only one inevitable outcome. Congreve again, keep an eye on him, sprayed the ball out to Fair. It came back to Congreve in acres of space, and he scored the goal that would send us into the quarterfinals, where we would square off with West Ham. Now, around the time of that Europa League quarterfinal draw, our youth intake arrived. Rated as an excellent intake, with Uwe Wolf the standout, certainly decent potential there. Axel Blinden was also picked out as a potential first-teamer of the future. And apologies, but I just couldn't resist adding a special file into the face pack for this next kid. What are you doing in my youth intake swamp? This is Fabian Schreck. If he makes the grade and goes on to score the winning goal for Liechtenstein in the World Cup, what a fairy tale that would be. Anyway, remember the name, we'll hear more from him later in the episode. Back to the championship group now and back to another poor performance against Young Boys, followed by another high-scoring draw, this time with Lugano. And if Young Boys are our bogey team, we must be St. Gallants, as despite missing an early penalty and going a goal down, we came from behind to grab a win, thanks to goals from Jankovic and Brian Lopez late in the game. That makes 19 goals in 4 matches this season. That would prove to be our last win of the season though, as we went down to Lausanne and had yet another ball draw with Basel, leaving us in third overall. In one sense, a step back from the last few seasons, but in another sense, I was completely fine with that, as it meant Young Boys would actually have to play the Champions playoff for once and not just get handed the trophy. And now for our Europa League quarterfinal against a West Ham team that looked like its transfer policy was based off an FM18 Wonder Kid shortlist, all under the stewardship of Sean Dyche. We got off to a shocking start at the London Stadium. Paqueta setting up Mudryk inside 2 minutes. But we have shown our mettle in several tough European games this season, and a foul on Moru gave us the chance to equalise, but Fink could not find a way past Dean Henderson. Still, we kept going, and Fink made up slightly for that miss by setting up our own Mr. Europa League, Cameron Congreve. Momentum was on our side now, and Fink would have a great chance to give us the lead. And right after that miss, we conceded not 1, but 2. Lara gave the ball away, Ditter won it back, and gave it away again. West Ham streamed forward, we managed to cope with that attack, only for Lara to give the ball away for a second time in 30 seconds, this time there was no escape. Right on the stroke of half-time, though, Lara looked to make amends, going on a determined run, beating Vlasic, getting in the cross to Fink, who made it 3-2. This was not over yet. In fact, the half wasn't even over yet, as the highlights started once again, right from the kickoff. Unfortunately, you know where this one is going. It was all West Ham, who just passed the ball around like it was a practice match, and eventually finding their way into the box. Carlson delivering the cross, Endrick having his shot saved, but then they just kept going, and Mudryk grabbed a second. Just before the hour mark, Congreve and Muro combined to set up Fair, whose effort went close. But West Ham would go even closer moments later as they moved through our defensive lines all too easily yet again, and Carlson secured an emphatic win. A 5-2 defeat, but looking at the stats, we should have done a lot better. We needed a massive performance in the second leg and put the pressure on the Hammers early, Cristiano going close with this effort from distance. And then the moment we needed, as Skip gave the ball away, it made its way to who else but Congreve, who played in Jovanovic in the back of the net. But it was called back for offside. If that moment didn't take the wind out of our sails, this strike from Vlasic early in the second half certainly did. We had a couple of chances to score, with Muro causing all kinds of problems. But with 2 minutes left on the clock, Zuma dealt the final blow. A 7-2 aggregate defeat. So out of Europe, 20 points behind first place in the league. Let's console ourselves with the Liechtensteiner Cup. Going all the way back to the sepia-tinged days of October, we took on Traisenberg in the quarterfinal round. They shouldn't have bothered showing up, really. Sandwiched between those West Ham games, we played Traisen, no Berg this time, and got another straightforward win to set up a final with Balzers. Now, as Vaduz reserves also play in the Liechtensteiner Cup, I can't give a lot of our youngsters a game because they're cup-tied. However, my new youth intake are selectable. So we lined up with 5 16-year-olds in the starting 11, including the goalkeeper, and yes, Breck leading the line. Dennis Keigan would score the first of many on 20 minutes, and on 40 minutes, Shrek would storm the castle and score on his debut. It would be 70 minutes by the time we got the third from Block. And this is not a replay, it's actually the fourth goal. And another of our youngsters, Dennis Berg, set up the final goal in stoppage time, as we lifted yet another Liechtensteiner Cup to at least end the season with a trophy. And a return to Europe next season. Though, going by this news item, next season's European action may actually be in the Champions League. So check out our next episode to see if that actually came to pass.